Okay, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you for being with me. Just had a couple of technical difficulties, but now we're all set and we're all ready to rock and roll. So today we're going to be doing the last of Maimonides' 13 Principles of Faith. Don't get scared; we're not done with it yet, right? We'll have more chance to delve into it more at later classes. But today we're going to start it. We're going to start this Maimonides. The 13th principle of faith, number 13. And number 13 is a fascinating one. It's one that is not as famous as number 12. Number 12 becomes very famous. Becomes very famous because of all the songs, right? The songs that go on with it. That Animamim, Buna Shalema, B'vias HaMashiach, the coming of Messiah. So there's a lot of fame with the one that's this number 12, but number 13 is not as famous, and sometimes it has a little controversy regarding it. What if it's true? If it's not true, what's the legitimate behind it? That's sort of a discussion regarding number 13. So let's delve into it for a little bit, and let's see what number 13 is. So number 13 starts off like this. It says, "Ani ma'amin b'emunah shalema." I believe with a complete faith that shetchias hamesim, right? Shetihei tchiat hamesim, that there will be a resurrection of the dead. Be'esh ya'ala ritzono. Right, when the will of the Ritzono, when Siyaleh, when it will elevate, will go up, the will of Habaris Bachshemai, the creator of the universe, Habore, Yisparach Shemo, may his name be blessed, Yis'aleh Zichro La'ad L'Netzach Nitzachim. Right, and this is not typical of Maimonides to speak this way, and he says, and his memory. Zichar, his memory, his exalt, his name will be mentioned forever and ever and for eternity. The netzach, netzachim, for eternity and eternity. So there's a lot to talk about this, and there's what to discuss. Why did Maimonides finish off right at the end with this interesting way of saying that this will be God's name will be remembered forever and ever? We don't see that in other ones that he speaks about. When he speaks about the creator of the universe, number 1, when he speaks about the Tzabor B'Sprach Shemo, number 3, right? He doesn't go into this, but I don't want to talk about that today. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. Today, I want to talk about this idea, number 1, of Tchiyat HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead. But before we get into the resurrection of the dead itself, and it's a topic which we could discuss for many classes, and we'll get into it a little bit, God willing. But I want to first start off with an interesting question. I saw this question being asked by some of the commentaries, and they asked like this: why is Maimonides jumping or speaking about the resurrection of the dead when he could be talking about Olam Haba, the world to come? He doesn't mention Olam Haba. Right? He mentions that there'll be reward and there'll be punishment. That could be this world or next world. And then he speaks about that the coming of the Mashiach, but he doesn't mention Olam Haba, the world to come. Why did he mention Olam Haba, the world to come? Why does he say the resurrection of the dead? Oh, and it's the resurrection of the dead. Say that it's referring to Olam Haba. I'd say I believe with a complete faith that there is a world to come. Why didn't he mention that? All right, so that's one question that we have to understand. Why didn't he mention Olam Haba, the world to come? And why did he mention Tchiyat HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead? Okay, of course, it's very important to have the resurrection of the dead, to believe in that, right? It's a fundamental truth. Belief that we believe in, that there will be a resurrection. We read about it on the Haftorah during Passover, right, of the bones that will get flesh again. But why doesn't he mention Olam Haba? Well, what's with that idea? Why resurrection of the dead more than Olam Haba? So that's an important question. So let's delve into this idea and hopefully we'll start getting a better understanding of what Maimonides really wants us to believe, one of the core beliefs of the idea of the resurrection of the dead. So the commentaries ask, where do we know the idea of the resurrection of the dead? All right, where do we know? It's part of the oral law, of course. All right, it's part of the oral law. We believe in it. It's part of Jewish mysticism and traditionally passed down. But it's part of the oral law. But where is it hidden in the Torah? Everything's hidden in the Torah. Everything's hidden in the written Torah. Everything's hidden there. So the question is, where is it hidden in the written Torah? Where is it? So the commentaries explain that we just read about it actually on Passover also. When the Jewish people left Egypt, they encountered the Yam Suf, right? They encountered the sea, and there was a splitting. There was a miracle. There was a splitting of the sea, right? Great miracle. We all are familiar with the splitting of the sea, the miracle of the splitting of the sea. And then when they walked through and they came out and they came to the other side, what does it say? It says, "Az Yashir Moshe." Right? They sang the song of the sea. This famous song of the sea, we say it every day in prayer. And the Psukat Zimra, we say it every day in prayer. There's not a day in our Jewish calendar that we don't sing Az Yashir. Fascinating. We say it every day. This song, Az Yashir Moshe, and this great song of gratitude to God for saving them from the Egyptians, and then it speaks about future things. The commentaries say that why does it say us? Why did it say then? Right? Then it should have said in a now. It should have said that Moshe is saying the song. Us is future tense. Us Yashir Moshe. Then, as article translates, then Moshe will sing. So that's in a future sing. It should have says Us Yashar. Sorry, he's saying. What's it? Az Yashir, right? Then Moshe saying, Yashir, he's saying in future. So it says the commentaries that is teaching us that the resurrection of the dead, that in future times, in later times, when the Messianic comes, and after the Messianic era comes, then there'll be a resurrection of the dead. And Moshe and all the Jewish people will sing again the song of the sea. But this time they'll be singing the great glory of God of bringing the end of times. So Az Yashir, future tense, they will sing. Moshe. What are we talking about? Future. From here we see that there's a concept of the resurrection of the dead hidden in the written law. So that's step number one. Where do we know this core belief that Maimonides is talking about? That is part of our oral tradition, an oral law. It's hidden in the Torah, in the Az Yashir. Az Yashir, he will sing in future. When? Resurrection of the dead. Okay, so that's all. That's very important. Important to establish where we know from. The question is, why was it hidden? The idea of the concept of the resurrection of the dead in the Az Yashir. God could have hidden it anywhere. What's the significance of it being hidden in the Az Yashir? Why was it hidden there? Again, there's no coincidence in Judaism. In the Torah, there's a rhyme and reason why everything's taught in a certain place. So what is the connection of the resurrection of the dead, the importance of it, the core belief that we believe in it, to the Song of the Sea? So the commentaries explain something very powerful, and I saw this idea. Right, it's something to really reflect on and to think about. If the essence of who we were, we spoke about this idea that the essence of who we are is our neshama. We just spoke about it Monday night when we spoke about Israel. Right. First of all, happy Yom Ha'atzmaut, everyone. Right. So we spoke about this, that the neshama is the essence of who we are. And we spoke about this before, right? The essence of who we are is our neshama. Our body is just the clothing to allow us to have free will. But today I want to take that a little deeper and expand on this idea. Because if our essence of who we are is just in a neshama, our soul, And this world is here just to allow us to have free will and elevate our neshama, to elevate our soul, that we could therefore get to a higher level and make our soul more spiritual by challenges with the physical body. So then why is there a resurrection of the dead? Why is there a resurrection of the dead? Once, whatever, you should live long and you should be able to elevate your body, your soul to the highest level. But then once you reach that and you go up to heaven, then you're in the bliss of spirituality. Right? If you deserve it, you go to Gan Eden, you go to the world to come, and you're in a bliss of spirituality. The essence of who we are, our neshama, our soul. So why is there a resurrection of the dead? Why? Why do we have to come back in this physical world? Why do we have to do that? Why is God going to go and build our body again and put our soul back in here? Okay, so we're going to say it's going to be a utopia of spirituality, right? There won't be any evil inclination, there won't be any challenges. So then there's no purpose for our physical body. So why is there a resurrection of the dead? It's a mind-boggling question, something to really think about. So I saw this idea, it's a powerful idea, and again, it expands on this idea that we've been talking about of the essence of who we are as a neshama, and that's 100% true. But we spoke about that one of the fundamental beliefs that we believe is that we are not in this world to remove ourselves from the physical world. We don't run to monasteries. Right? We don't fast all day. Yes, we have certain times that we fast. Right? On the contrary, we have a mitzvah to eat basar v'yayin, to drink wine and to eat meat or chicken, right, on Shabbat or other delicacies. There's a mitzvah. Right? So many of our mitzvahs revolve around physicality. Right? They revolve around the physical world. Revolve around marriage. There's a mitzvah to get married. There's a mitzvah of getting married. Right? There's a mitzvah there's laws regarding work. There's a mitzvah of agricultural, of laws of the physical, of the agricultural, of working the land. In Judaism, yes, the essence of who we are is our neshama, our soul. But we believe that God, when he put us into this world, into the physical body, yes, it is now created for us an opportunity to have a challenge. And yes, the physical body is just the clothing of our neshama. But we have the power to elevate the physical body into something spiritual, to create it into a spiritual beacon, a transformation, that the soul and the body are united. They're one. They work in harmony. And now the body comes elevated into a spiritual concept also. So we have this opportunity, we have this ability to elevate, to create a physical entity into something spiritual. The same way we take wine, which on one hand can be used to get yourself drunk and loneliness and terrible things. And on the other hand, we could take the same wine and we could put it into a nice Kiddush cup and on Friday night say, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbos, and say Kiddush. We could use it at a wedding and sanctify the wedding. We could have a man and wife, or people taking sexuality and making it an immoral, just a physical action. Or we could go ahead and create a beautiful marriage and create it into Kedusha. We call it Kedushin, marriage. It's Kedushin, holiness. We could take food. We could indulge ourselves. Or we could become physical through it. Or we can make a blessing and look at what we eat and what we don't eat and create spirituality out of it. It's the same thing with our physical body. We could look at our physical body and we could say, hey, am I going to make this into a physical, just another physical thing? Yeah, do a thing here, do a thing there. I have neshama, I have to give it a bone, but I'm still physical. Or am I going to go ahead and transform my physical body into something spiritual? What am I going to do? What's going to be the main thing that I do? And therefore, say the commentaries, that's the depth of what we're saying by the concept of Tchiyat HaMesim, resurrection of the dead. The resurrection of the dead is teaching us that there is an importance, and God wants us to go and transform our physical body into something spiritual that God wants, and we should have to go ahead and relive that experience of our neshama, all spiritual, and our body, which worked on it and created the spiritual ability for the soul to get so holy. And therefore, God said, I'm going to make you together again. I'm going to make you whole. I'm going to bring you back to the epitome of your spiritual growth, because the neshama really is, of course, all spiritual, but it cannot do it by itself, and therefore needs the help of the body. But then when they help each other out, they become an entity together, and they become the best thing possible. And therefore, that's the idea on a deeper level of the resurrection of the dead. So this analogy that's brought down, right, sort of to show how one needs the other. The analogy goes like this: that there's unfortunately a lame man and a blind man next to each other, and the lame man tells the blind man, "Oh, there's an apple tree, right? Just a couple feet away, right? You get it?" So the blind man tells the lame man, said, "I could get up, but I don't know where I'm going." He says, "You know what? I will direct you." He said, "Excellent." So the lame man tells the blind man, "Okay, stand up." He stands up. He says, "Okay, take 2 steps forward." He takes 2 steps forward. He said, "Okay, now turn to the right." Turns to the right. Take another couple of steps forward. Turn to the left. Guides him. Avoid there. Oh, there's a ditch. Finally, he gets to the apple tree. He takes an apple. He brings it back, and they both enjoy the apple. A little while later, the farmer comes, and he sees that there's apples taken from a tree. So he looks at the two of them. He says, "Who took it?" So the lame man says, "I couldn't have taken it. Look, I'm stuck here. I can't go anywhere." So the blind man says, "I couldn't have taken it. I don't know where I'm going. I can't see anything. How am I supposed to be able to know where I'm going?" So the farmer looks at both of them. He goes ahead and he puts the blind man on the lame man's shoulders, puts them together. He says, "Ha ha, here's the culprit." We could either use that for the good or for the bad. That's our neshama and our soul. Our neshama is like the layman. The neshama can go around in the physical world. It's a spiritual entity. The physical body is like the blind man. Who's going to control who? They have to work together. They have to work together. Are they going to go ahead and do something positive and then they become one entity, like the farmer put them together? Or, God forbid, they're going to become one entity and do something negative. But when they do something good, it is the credit of both, not just the neshama. It's the credit of the physical body too. The physical body gets elevated through it. Therefore, God, in his ultimate wisdom, says the ultimate reward, the utopia, the final utopia, is not olam haba. It's not the world to come. That's when the neshama is alone. It's a temporary holding of bliss, or God forbid, Gehenna. That's what he spoke about before. Reward and punishment. Gehenna is a cleansing process to allow someone to go to olam haba. But it's a holding cell. It's when the neshama goes back to its place and says, okay, we have to wait till the final utopia of when the Messianic era will come. And then I will reunite you with your body if you elevated your body. Because if you elevated your body, then your body also has spirituality in it. And spirituality is infinity. So therefore, it resurrects. It comes back up. Tchiyat HaMesim. Because the body becomes a spiritual entity also. So now this is beautiful. Right? This is unbelievable. The last of the 13 principles is after the Messianic era, after he speaks about Mashiach coming. I believe Mashiach will come. And he doesn't speak about directly Olam Haba, because Olam Haba is only the soul. It's nothing that we in this world will gain or benefit from. Yes, it is an incentive to do good. But the real incentive to do good, Maimonides is teaching us, is to do good, that our physical body and our neshama unite to become one, that we will be resurrected. But our body and our soul have to reconnect in a spiritual way. That's the ultimate. That is the utopia. So we ask the question, why is it in Az Yashir? Why is it by the Song of the Sea? Why is it there that we learn the resurrection of the dead? Say the commentaries that until the splitting of the sea, Moshe, who stuck out his hand, it says, Az Yashir Moshe u'vnei Yisrael she'azos l'Hashem, and they believed, and it says, Vayiminu, right before it says, Vayiminu b'Hashem u'Moshe avdo. Right when they went into the sea, the splitting of the sea, it says, and they believed in God, u'Moshe avdo, Moshe his servant. And then they sang the song. Say the commentaries that until the splitting of the sea, they believed in God. They believed in Moshe. He was helping them out, but they didn't believe Moshe represents the physical component of the spirituality. Hashem is all spiritual. It's like the Neshama, it's all the spiritual realm. The physical realm is here, is Moshe, leading the Jewish people out. He's a physical, Kaviyachol, of course, comparing holy, he's like sort of the physical messenger of God. So they believed in the spiritual, but the belief that the physical and the spiritual work together, and there's a relationship, and the physical comes elevated through that, they didn't believe so much. But by the splitting of the sea, when they saw that great miracle, and Moshe waving his hand in the final miracle, then it says, Vayiminu b'Hashem u'Moshe avdo. They believed in Hashem and Moshe, his servant. They believe that there's a relationship between the physical and the spiritual. They believe that the physical is here to elevate the spiritual, and the two are united together, not just as a throwaway, chat pami kind of utensil. It's not a plate that you throw away, but on the contrary, the physical body becomes elevated through it, and therefore it is part and parcel of it. It gets elevated. Therefore, that's where we learn the concept of the resurrection of the dead, because the resurrection of the dead, that's when they said, Az Yashir said, they believe that eventually they will also again sing. They believe that they will again sing because they believe that the physical body will be elevated. And if they grow and they elevate that physical body, then there will be a resurrection of the dead. And they believe that they will again sing to God and show gratitude to God in the final end of days. Because they believe then that the physical body and the soul are united together. So my friends, that is the crucial point that we have to take out from today's class. The crucial point that we have to take out from today's class, and we'll talk about more of this topic hopefully in the next couple of weeks, right? And then afterwards we have to think of a new thing to learn. Plenty out there, don't get me wrong, right? But we have to take out this idea that our physical body is, yes, the avenue of how our soul has free will. As we've spoken about before, the main is our soul. But it's deeper than that. Our physical body and our soul become one unit, become one entity. And then when we elevate our physical body, when we elevate our soul, our physical body elevates with it. And then God forbid, if our physical body's in control, then our neshama gets tainted. Loses its purity. That's why it has to go to Gehenna. Becomes one unit. And therefore, that's the concept of the resurrection of the dead. And this idea is an idea that, again, we spoke about many times, but that's just to reiterate what we spoke about Monday night just for 2 seconds. That's the idea why Eretz Yisrael is such a holy place. Because we believe that the physical could become holy. The physical could become holy. It's like our physical body, just like the food we eat, we can make holy. So too, a land can become holy. It only became holy, right, when the Jewish people came into the land of Israel. They went ahead and they sanctified it. And it becomes holy when we learn in it. And it becomes holier and holier. And the energy of the holiness becomes stronger when we do good deeds in the land of Israel. So we're going to conclude with this idea. Let's remember that our soul and our body are not two different entities. They start off as two different entities, but God unites them and creates them into one entity. And it's our job to be able to elevate our body into something spiritual. That in the end of days, after the Messianic era comes, how it works exactly, beyond my scope of knowledge. Just tell you a little bit of what I know. Maybe we'll talk about that next week, the following. But whenever that happens, that our physical body has the energy of the soul, of the spirituality, and then it will be resurrected. Because spirituality is infinity. And we spoke about this before. There's great rabbis that their bodies never decayed because they became spiritual beacons. There's spirituality in their physicality, and therefore spiritual doesn't decay. It's all spiritual, no concept of time. So let's reflect on this idea. Next time we wanna do something, let's remember that our actions, again, of course, affect our soul and this olam haba and the world to come, but that's a waiting place. It affects our physical body also. Are we going to elevate it? Or God forbid we won't. Wishing everyone a beautiful day. And just a reminder that tomorrow there is a lunch and learn. And that lunch and learn is